How's it going, everyone? It is Prashan here, and I have Tucker with me. How's it going, Tucker?
Yo, what's going on? It's good to be here, Brashan. That was a shorter AO today, but we got a long season and we got a couple cards to talk about today. We got decks here to help you guys win the weekend, win the season, and overall, hopefully have a good time.
Long season. You're infinite already, aren't you?
I mean, I'm infinite, but this season's 5 weeks long instead of 4 weeks long.
Yeah, I reach infinite too. I played Hela Hell Cow. I cheated my way to infinite. It was a fairly easy cruise. What did you end up playing, Tucker?
I was playing some Patriot Agent Venom.
Okay. And then speaking of Agent Venom here, 2/4 on reveal, set the power of all cards in your deck to 4. I think this is a pretty good card overall. I think it's an okay season pass card. It's not OP. It's not bad. I think it's just a complementary card that makes cards better in decks already. So what do you feel about this card, Tuck?
I really like this season pass card. I think it's very flexible, and like you said, it's kind of a card you can plug into a variety of decks. Most of the meta right now is very mid-range, so like this helps really with those mid-range cards to be able just to have a set 4 power. It's interesting. You're maybe not seeing as much Ravona anymore. You're seeing Agent Venom in that Ravona slot for some of these lists. If you bought the season pass, but it feels like it did help some lists get better. Like it feels good, and then there's some instances where it's like maybe I could have played a different card. But I like that it's a season pass card that isn't just going into one list.
Yeah, and the fact that it's a 2 cost 2, like it has tons of value. It hurts or sucks when it happens at the end of the game, but when you get this on curve, it feels so good to play. So we're gonna go into some Agent Venom decks to start off here, and our first one is Agent Venom Darkhawk. 59.9% win rate, so pretty high win rate. This deck was already good as it is before Agent Venom, but cards like Athena, Kitty Pride, your Mystique, like Iron Man, so much value in this deck. And Cosmo, all the tech cards in Marvel Snap are on the rise. So your Cosmos, your Shang-Chi's, your Red Guardians, all of those cards are on the rise because Hela is everywhere.
Yeah, this list is really good too. Like you have so many different cards that just get so much value, even if it's just that one extra power, because one extra power does add up. And like the bread and butter of this list, of course, is hitting that Iron Man, Mystique, and Athena, I would say, with 4 power. Iron Man being able to double that's an automatic 8 power in a lane. Mystique being able to copy that ability. And then Athena starting out at 4 power. So even if you draw Athena late in the game, you can still get her to like 7 to 10 power. Feels really good. And you're offsetting a lot of draws here while throwing rocks in people's decks. So they can't really do what they want to do. And then you can even final turn Juggernaut people off where they wanted to play into a potential Cosmo lane or just a different lane. And that feels really solid.
Yeah, I feel like Cassandra Nova got taken out of this deck and Agent Venom got placed in. So instead of taking power away from your opponent, you're just giving all the power to yourself. And we have another Agent Venom deck here. Agent Venom Bounce. This deck's pretty good. This deck was good overall already, but just imagine your hood. Instead of being -3, it's a 4. Imagine your Rocket Raccoon getting that value too, and then if it hits something, it hits something. You can always bounce it back with Falcon or Beast and try again. I know a lot of people don't like the rocket play, but I really do like it because even if you miss the first time, you could have another chance later on once the board is more cluttered and you could be more predictive on those plays. Silver Sable, of course, awesome card. Nico is your Swiss Army knife. And then you have Shadow King here too. You just have to be careful where you play him, especially since you have so many cards where you are gaining power. Of course, Falcon and Beast bounce things back. Agent, U.S. Agent here. We have U.S. Agent and Agent Venom like right beside each other here, but U.S. Agent affects all those big and tall cards that are on the board. You're especially low here. It just sucks if Crimson Cosmos is on the board. You just have to make sure your 1 costs are at 0 and just play there. But overall, pretty good. Like Sage and Hitmonkey can save you at the end of the game to give you the wins that you need.
Yeah, this list overall has been fluctuating. This is just one iteration of the bounce cell. There's so many different iterations right now, but this one has more tech pieces to it. And it just feels really good. Yes, you only have 4 1-drops in here, but like that still is incredible value if you can just bounce those, falcon them to get big hit monkey things. And you have Bishop back into a bounce shell. I know it's crazy, but he's getting some very good value in this list right now. When Toxic comes out, Bishop will be flexed out for Toxin, more likely. But like, there's different iterations. I like this one too because it allows you to go over the top and go wide at the same time. And into the bounce mirrors, you have the Shadow King. That's like the main thing right here. Is a lot of people are playing bounce, so having another card that can offset what they're trying to do, and you probably try and duck priority to be able to maximize or capitalize on that as well. And I also am a fan of the Rocket Raccoon edition as well. If you get the Agent Venom on it, it becomes 4 power, and then it's a 1/8. Even if you whiff there, that's still, a really good value because you're playing Rocket Raccoon probably more towards the end of the game. If you hit something earlier, okay, that's good. But like more often than not, you're using it as a later gameplay. And then this deck is just really good. Silver Sable, yesterday I was streaming, and it hit my Deadpool. Like, I was playing like 4 times in a row. So like the value you can get with Silver Sable is actually really good, especially if it literally limits what your opponent can do with their combo. This is a really solid shell.
Yeah, for sure. Really, really good. I like Bounce. Bounce hasn't gone anywhere. Even though Glenn said he tried to nerf Bounce, right? With the Beast move, but
yeah,
still works. And then speaking of move, this is the best move deck in Snap. Madam Web still has tons of value, and Cosmo. Like, Cosmo is coming, and I think the whole Madam Web Cosmo stuff is very scary, especially if you're a deck that relies on a bunch of arm reveal stuff, or if you're facing a deck that has a bunch of arm reveal stuff. So you do have the Cosmo, and then even if you miss with the Cosmo, you could fake them out, and they're thinking you're going left with Heimdall. Instead, you just play Eliath, and it's over too. They can't do anything on the final turn, which I think is pretty cool with this deck overall. I think it's your typical move deck, but it has these like weird pieces that make this like even more over the top.
Yeah, and like what's really cool is like there's so many different ways you can tech this. Like you can play Iron Fist and then activate, and then like Aranya, and then play your move card, and then your move card moves twice in one turn. And then like you also said, like if you miss a Cosmo, you played your Cosmo less, you move it to one lane, you missed, you can freaking Ghost Spider it back and make it do something else. So like there's so many different ways to be able to just use Madam Web as like a focal tech piece, so let them not know what your next move is and everything too. These cards get big. You're not bouncing anything in this list. You're just moving stuff around, and then you have, like you said, the key tech pieces to really offset. Doctor Strange is getting value in move again, which is kind of crazy to see where he was to where he's at now. Cloak value is crazy, but this list is really good. Like I believe Sizer was messing around with this list like all season last season to kind of get the right pieces together, and this is what's like stuck, and it feels really good.
Yeah, I think Sizer has like Tribunal maybe instead of Eliath in his list when I was watching him play, and then I tried it and I sucked at it. But I was like, all right, that's why he's a little bit better than I am. But overall, I think Move has gotten plenty of pieces, plenty of love. So it's meta. I think it's definitely has a spot meta. And then next we have here is everyone's arch enemy here, Hela Hell Cow. I think we've gone over this deck a few times already, but of course, you don't have to do anything. You could just wait until you have Hell Cow, play Hell Cow, and then you could just play Hela, and then almost win every game. So this is what I used on my Infinite Climb. It was fairly easy. I think sometimes I got Cosmoed or Eliath every once in a while, but besides that, this is fairly easy. You have Blink and Jubilee to make up for not having Hela in your hand, and you just get easy wins. And of course, Black Cat, she discards herself, so that's another discard you don't have to worry about.
Sorry, my cats are under the table and are just messing around with every chord. But yeah, this list is very, very like straightforward. If you don't have some of these pieces, it may not perform as well, but like I've been seeing low collection people playing Gamora in this list and winning games with Gamora. So like it's just whatever works for you. Like Hela's just in a really good spot. All you really need is Hell Cow, Luke Cage, and Hela, and I think you pretty much can just slam your head on your keyboard or just like head slam your phone and you would still win your game with Hela. Like it's not necessarily an auto win because you're still playing, where are these cards gonna land? But like if there's no Cosmo or if you don't have priority, like they don't really necessarily have the tech pieces to just offset the raw amount of power you're throwing down.
Yeah, I think Red Guardian has tons of value because if you see the Hell Cow down, you could just Red Guardian it and then boom, it disrupts their whole gameplay. Then of course like Cosmo too. I think Leech has tons of value too right now. It's just like some people are not playing it, but the win rate on those cards are pretty high. Like Shang-Chi, Cosmo, Red Guardian, Leech. The win rate's pretty high, but they're not played that often. And then next, we have a spicy one here. There is no 1-drops, no 2-drops in this deck. It's pretty interesting. Typically, I try to play Magic on 3, and then on 4, like I'll try to play Rogue, and then I will play like Blink to get the Rogue out of here, and then we try to get Sera Onslaught, and then you play Sera Onslaught on top of each other, and then you go crazy on turn 7. So how do you feel about this overall?
So Splat absolutely cooked with this list. And there's so many different ways you can play through it. If you don't have the Magic line, you wave to get Onslaught out early. You play Sera down on 5, and then all of your 3-cost cards cost 1. So you can play the entire militia out on 1 turn. And it's really crazy because you don't necessarily know where all the cards are going. I mean, like, you're playing 3 cards in the game. You're like, well, they have 9 other board spaces for them to throw stuff down. What's going to happen? And, like, honestly, the strong guy value is really good, too, because on the Onslaught, he goes to a 315 because his +6 gets doubled. So you have that, plus you're slamming all these other cards down. You thought Mysterios are really good with Hitmonkey. Imagine 5 other 3-cost cards at least with Hitmonkey. That's an extra 10 power right there. Like, with this value. List feels good. Yeah, literally with value. It's better stats than just the 0-powered Mysterios you're throwing on the board. No, this list is very fun. It's like you're playing Exodia pretty much in Yu-Gi-Oh! That's what you're trying to do. Mobius just does not exist if you're playing this deck. But no, I think it's a fun deck that's different than Hela, Erisham, Bounce, Destroy. It just felt like a new rejuvenation of something added to the game.
Yeah, and I think it throws off opponents too. When you're not playing anything on 1 or 2, they're like, what the heck are you playing? Yep. And then like they see the Magic on 3, they still have no idea what you're playing. They're like, is this negative? Like, what is going on here? And then all of a sudden you just see like Sera Onslaught and then Onslaught of cards coming your way. There's nothing you can really do. And of course you have Killmonger for tech, and then you have Rogue for tech. Ghost helps out too. That way, like, you don't get like Shang-Chi or anything like that. Only thing you have to worry about is Eliath, but yeah, who plays Eliath, right?
Can Eliath 3 lanes, right? It's not Eliath Grandmaster Zola thing, so
yeah. And then next here we have Phoenix Force. This is Tucker's favorite deck. I suck with this, so I'll let him take this.
So Jet's been freaking messing around with all sorts of different iterations of Phoenix Force. This is the one I've seen he played the most last season. He was number 2, so like number 2 in the world seems, or in his region, is pretty freaking awesome. He's messing around with a different one with Agent Venom, but that was kind of crazy. We're gonna stick on like Focal Phoenix Force right now. There's no Zola, and there's no whatchamacallit, no Tribunal in this list, so you're really kind of just trying to fight for a couple lanes. You have Deadpool in case you whiff or don't have your movement cards, and your Deadpool can get big, whether it's with the Urania, with the Hulkbuster, Carnage Venom, so Deadpool really scales in power. And then you're just Eliathing another lane to make sure you can just solidify that, and they don't Shang-Chi your stuff. Of course, the nut would be hitting, the multiple man to be able to get that into Phoenix Force value, so that way you can actually get multiple lanes, covered and stuff. But like Aranya into multiple man makes your multiple man a 5-powered multiple man, and that's the copy that duplicates as well. And then you hit it with a Hulkbuster, and then you can Ghost Spider it, and you're just having multiple men across the board. It's another iteration where Shadow King just doesn't exist. Don't worry about Shadow King. But this list is really good, and I feel like there's so many different ways you can just tech out and tech in pieces, depending on what your pocket meta is. That's why I think Jet has Alliance in it right now because he was using that to stop later game combos. But there's so many different ways you can play it. But of course, there's focal pieces you don't take out. There's just the other pieces you might remove. Like I might remove Aranya to put Zola in if I need to do more Human Torch things. And if you want to complete those move missions, you can totally do it with Phoenix Force.
Yeah, what Tucker said. I suck with this deck. I don't really mess with Phoenix Force that often. I try, but I never get the nut, so I don't play it. But when when I play against it, it seems like they get every single card, which sucks. It's a bad feeling. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Let me play it. And then boom, I can't. So next we have where's that card? We have Scream. Yeah.
Scream.
Yeah. 2/2. When an enemy card moves, steal 2 power from it. I think it's pretty good. I think they're gonna make a change, right, to it, where the card has to be technically like revealed already, which sucks.
Yeah, they said that the Kingpin interaction doesn't happen with unrevealed cards, but it does happen with unrevealed cards right now, and they wanted to change that opposed to like Juggernaut's able to do stuff with unrevealed cards. Kingpin's done stuff with unrevealed cards since he was in the game, since Arrow was the best card in the game, so it's a really major feels bad moment. I think this card has like the potential to be incredible. Now it's kind of capped at just being good opposed to great.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think it's like a niche card, a niche. There's the kitties. The kitties are going. But it's a niche card, or like it only fits in like a certain like archetype, right? So let's go into one of the decks that I made. Evo Scream. Instead of the Red Guardian, I think there's Wasp, but I was seeing a bunch of Hell Cow stuff. So I put in Red Guardian as your tech, plus it afflicts damage too, so it helps out your Abomination to be even lower, and it helps out your Ajax too, which I think is pretty cool. And then, of course, you have Hazmat to affect everything, and you have your move agents, Polaris, Spider-Man, Juggernaut, and Stegron. Stegron, oh yeah, and Cannonball. And Stegron is finally getting some play out there, which I love. I thought this card always had potential. I just think after the Professor X change too, that was bad for him. And then the fact that Cannonball came out too, it's like, who needs Stegron? And then Juggernaut is like the miniature like Cannonball, so it's like Stegron got lost in the shuffle. But I don't know. I think this is overall good, but it still doesn't give you like the power that you need sometimes unless you stack like 2 lanes.
Yeah, I think like the main thing, like why it doesn't have the power as it once was. I mean, you had U.S. Agent and you had Man Thing in here to kind of help offset, some of these lower tier cards people are playing. But if people are playing the whatchamacallit, the splat list, they're only playing 3 drops, so you can only really afflict 1 lane opposed to being able to do all the other damage. And if they have Ghost, they don't have priority. So it stinks there. But like what I do like about this list, there's a lot of disruption going around, and like it gives a lot of value to these move cards. Yes, you have Scream on the board, and I think I was talking about this earlier. Like Scream, I think of as a transactional card. So if you think of like Silver Sable gets 3 power or gets 2 power whenever she hits a card, but they still have to play the card for you to get maximum value there. Whereas Scream, the card's already on the board, so Scream gets 2 power and that card loses 2 power. That's a 4 power transaction. I know it's a weird way to say it, but like that makes Stegron smacking a card a 4/11 instead of just a 4/7. It makes Spider-Man a 3/9, Polaris a 3/9, Cannonball a 5/12. So like you have that extra value, and then you drop an Ajax at the end of the game, and maybe you're slamming more stuff around. Like you're slinging stuff around. People are like, oh, well, I'm going to win this lane anyways. I mean, Ajax is here, but whatever. And you're playing a Juggernaut to move it off of the Ajax lane. That's getting hit by Scream. You're hazmatting other stuff. Like it just feels like there's a couple different options. Maybe it doesn't go as vertical in power because people are playing a lot of Hela right now, so it really doesn't matter if you have Ajax on the board because they're having a Magneto on one side, Giganta on another, and they got Infinite in the middle of the board. So it's just like it feels bad. Luke Cage, of course, is not everywhere, but it's in that list. So this list kind of hard loses to that just because Luke Cage diff. But I like this list seems very fun, and I love High Evo. I know you love High Evo, and being able to add that with the new cards is cool.
Yeah, Affliction's like one of my favorite archetypes, and then I think I have another one. I made a video on this one. This one felt good too. I really like Arrow. Like you could put Cannonball in here instead of Arrow, but I felt Arrow won me more games. Of course, you have the Scream, Kingpin combo where you're just afflicting. Of course, Silk has tons of value in this deck because it gives you that Miles Morales that becomes a 1 cost. And I won quite a few games just because I played Miles and Ajax on turn 6, and the opponent was not expecting that much power on the final turn. So, of course, like Kraven has value. You have your move agents, Juggernaut, Polaris, Spider-Man, Stegron, Arrow. There's tons of movement in this deck, which I think feels good. But Luke Cage can ruin your day.
Yeah, and I think honestly saving Miles to the end of the game is so good. Like you have Arrow to offset people's combos. They're setting stuff up in one lane. You arrow it to another. Like that's the difference between like Arrow and Cannonball. Like Cannonball has to target the biggest card played. Arrow is last card played, and it has 2 extra power. So it's keeping that in mind seems really good. And then like you're doing this like one of the best feelings in this game. You know, you played the old list, like we're talking about Black Bolt Stature. You know, Prashan loves Black Bolt Stature. So like you're playing a 1-drop with your 5-drop at the end of the game, and you get to do that with this, whether it's Arrow and Miles in the game or Ajax and Miles in the game. And then like this synergy you have with the Scream and the Kingpin, your Silk's moving around the entire time. So your Miles is fluctuating between 1 cost probably every single turn. So you have just so many different ins and outs. With this list, Kraven actually gets value. That 1 power he got in the OTA is really menacing. So it's really cool just to see what you can do. But no, this is definitely a fun list. I'm glad that Scream brought back some fun to move Disrupt. And like you said, you love Affliction. So you get your move fun and you get your Affliction fun. It's a 2-in-1. Ajax value is just through the roof. Hazmat's best friend is just everywhere. But no, this is cool.
Yeah, I like to be annoying as possible. So I like decks like these. Like I've had a few people just like retreat after I just move things around and they couldn't do what they wanted to do. So it's good to have fun with the game. So I think that is it for this week. We went over quite a few decks, some new cards. Till next week, we'll meet again. You have anything to say to the people out there, Tucker, before we take off?
You guys need to be on the lookout. Prashan and I are about to start sweating when it comes to Conquest and Ladder this next week. We're going to be practicing for the Gauntlet. That's going to be happening next weekend. So we're going to be playing all sorts of stuff. You guys should check us out live. I think that's one of the best ways to interact with us or here on the YouTubes. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. You guys are going to hit Infinite this weekend. I can guarantee it. If not, we'll have some crazy decks for you next week after the OTA.
Yeah, for sure. We're participating in the Gauntlet. Tons of creators from Marvel Snap. Every creator you've known or might not even know are creators. You'll see them out there, which is pretty amazing. Glad to see everyone to have their opportunity to shine, and then let the best person win this whole thing. The granddaddy of them all, especially 2-year anniversary of Snap, right?
Yep.
So good to see everyone get a shot. So thank you again for watching. Till next time, be safe, keep on snapping, and peace.